Getting into a T-14 is no joke. So how did I do it as a first generation college undergrad student, law student? Let's get into it. Hey fam, what's up? It's Shar and welcome to Law and Living Color, where I give you guys quick tips and experiences on how to navigate law school and the legal field as a person of color. I'm gonna tell you right now, I did not think that I was gonna get into my dream school for law school. I feel like in my heart of hearts, I wanted to, and I worked like I, was going to, and I moved like I was going to. I held my head up like I was going to. But there's like a little part of me that was like, are you really about to do that? Like, you really about to do this? And when I got it, I was beyond happy. Like, I'm pretty sure I cried when I got the email. So how did I get here where I'm at? I'll tell you. Well, there's a few things. So one of the things that I did was I took the time as long as I needed to study for the Lsat. And I really had to sit down with myself and really just, I guess, push back the stigma of if you're not going right into grad school right after undergrad, you're gonna like push it off and you're never gonna go. I really had to get over that misconception because that was really hurting me. I was in undergrad and constantly was trying to study for this test while having a full-time job, being a full-time student, just because I wanted to go into law school right out, because I just felt like I had to, because everyone was telling me I had to. No. I realized later that, I need to build up the money to even pay for the study materials for this test. And I also want to put my best foot forward. From when I was scoring to what I scored, I went up like 25 points. And that was really only because I dedicated so much time to this test that I was allowed to dedicate, because I was no longer in school and I just had a job and I had the resources to pay for the things that helped me get there. Do well in undergrad. I cannot stress this enough, because my freshman year, I did a doozy of a bad performance in college. And if you're no longer in college, some programs let you like retake classes and get a higher GPA, but if you're no longer in college, I would say definitely stress the test. If you're currently an undergrad right now and you're thinking, just thinking about going to law school, do well. Please get a higher GPA. And even though I'm the main person that will tell you a GPA and a test score does not define the work ethic a person is capable of or the capability in a field, that is unfortunately what these schools use to determine your capability. So one thing I would tell you right now, if you're someone like me, I transferred after my first semester of my sophomore year, and I did really, really well at my second school. That's because my mentor was better and everything was better. However, LSAC with a C, they take everything into consideration. They don't just take your institutional GPA, is what they like to call it. If you're a transfer student, you know what I'm talking about. They don't just take your institutional GPA, they take your cumulative. So if you went to community college, if you transferred from one undergrad to another undergrad, they take all of those grades into account and they put it into what they call the LSAC GPA. And that is the GPA that law schools use. So if you have a 4.0 GPA in your institutional, but you had a 2.7 from your transfer, and you combine that, it's a 3.5. That is your cumulative. That is what law schools are going to use. Be involved on campus. It's really important that you're involved, whether you're involved on campus or you're working, just doing something, giving you experience, giving you just experiences in different things, whether it be work or just something that you like to do. So I fortunately was also involved, and I had a full-time job, so I was doing a lot in undergrad now that I think about it. I was part of the school newspaper, I was part of some community service, so I made sure that I left somewhat of an imprint. Job experience is also pretty cool. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you have to work in a law firm if you're trying to go to law school. That is a misnomer as well. You do not have to work in a law firm. However, it is pretty cool that you do, because you kind of get a sense of what lawyers do on a day-to-day. So it's kind of neat to do that, but I'm not telling you right now that law schools are like, oh, she worked at a law firm, we're gonna take her. No, that's not what it is. Get to know your professors in undergrad. Like, law schools ask for recommendations, and they highly value professor recommendations over work recommendations. So if you're currently an undergrad right now, get super close to your professor. Like, I'm talking about like beyond just sending emails. Like, have a talk with them, get to know them. Don't force a relationship with your professor. If you guys just don't click, then you guys don't click. However, just having one professor just understands you, and being able to just go in their office hours and come sit down and be like, you know, can you give me some help with this? And it doesn't necessarily have to be schoolwork. It could be just some advice on where you want to go with your career path. Also, in trying to get into a T-14, find a mentor. It could be a professor. It could be a relative. It could be someone that you work with. But find a mentor that can help guide you specifically through the law school process. For me, I'm a first-generation student in undergrad, but I'm also a first-generation student for law school. So I don't have any lawyers in my family. So asking people about what law is like and how it is to practice was crucial for me, because I just really wanted to know if I wanted to go into law or not. And I think this is the most important part. So when people say how to get into T-14, you know, they kind of give you the basics. Get a good Lsat score, get a good GPA, have good recommendations. Well, it's kind of different when you're first generation and you're a person of color. First off, there's not a lot of people of color in the law field. Second, law field or in law school. Tell your story. Okay, you don't have to have this horrible sob story be your story. I mean, if that is okay, but just tell your story from your perspective, and tell why you want to go to law school. I think a lot of my application, yes, came down to my numbers, but it also came to the story that I told, and that's not stressed enough, honestly. When these top 14 law schools, you're looking at the US News Report, oh my God, I can't even think about going to one of these high schools. You can, just shoot your shot. I mean, like, who's to say that you won't get in? I mean, they'll say that, but not beforehand, not before they see your application. So turn in your application. Be confident in your application, and just tell them who you are. So that's all, fam. Hopefully you learned some information on, I guess, how to get into a T-14. For me, I guess the biggest takeaway should be to tell your story and to shoot your shot, because you just never know. If you think you can't get into Harvard, apply to Harvard. If you think you can't get into such and such, apply there, because you just never know. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more videos like it, please hit me up if you have any questions, or if you have anything at all that you want me to talk about. I will gladly talk about it. And as always, I have to end things off with a quote. In the words of Michael Jordan, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Peace, guys.